Hey Damon, I don't know who you are. Nice that you showed up on my show. For anybody that understands um, stuff that's been going on for a while, 11/3 occurs on November 3rd, 2026. I'll tell you, with everything going on, I think this country, Trump can't do it on his own, and Congress, there's too many Iranians in Congress. I think we need to break the NATO treaty. I think we need to wash our hands of what's going on in Ukraine. Germany, first of all, Ursula, who's the head of the European Economic Union, she wants NATO to go head on with Russia. I think Germany is heading that way. None of us want to get into another meaningless war. Um, I think, I'll give you an example. Germany is mad at Putin for going into Ukraine. Well, people got to remember, Crimea was always the part of Ukraine where Crimea is was part of Russia. Hey, Joe Carroll Dodds, all the borders changed after the Cold War was over when the Soviet Union disbanded. None of this, nobody wants their son or daughter in the military to sacrifice their life for what's going on in Europe. And the thing with the tariffs, you know what? We don't need Europe. This country should become self-sustaining. Back after World War II, we rebuilt Germany and Japan. And what did they do to us? They put tariffs on a lot of the stuff that we bought from them. Oh, I've seen videos of these winemakers in France. I don't know what they're going to do. If you want to drink wine, buy wine that's made in New Jersey or California. I'm not a wine drinker, but it's better that the money stays in this country. And the thing with tariffs, people don't realize. I'll give you an example. Moscow is the capital of Russia. But if you look at old maps, Joe Carroll, showing what Ukraine was, Eastern Ukraine, my son's been there in his career. The people in Eastern Ukraine speak Russian. That was always part of Russia. And if you go back when the Tsars ruled Russia, Ukraine, even though Ukraine was its own country, they always basically did what Russia told them to do, because that's just the way the world worked back then. But the thing with tariffs, people don't understand on the fake news. Look at it like this. As an example, let's say we have two towns, East Jabip and West Jabip. What if the people in East Jabip are spending all their money buying stuff from West Jabip? Eventually, the people in East Jabip aren't going to be able to get by because nobody's buying stuff from their town. So what's going to happen in that town? That town's going to become a ghost town. It's the same thing that's been going on in this country for decades. It's a huge transfer of wealth. Another thing we need to do is get rid of the Federal Reserve System. They just print money. We don't. The Federal Reserve needs to be audited. Trump can't do this on his own. And with the Iranians in Congress, how much of this Federal Reserve money is going into these politicians' bank accounts through family members? Now, this is all alleged, but I understand how this stuff works. My grandfather wrote about this stuff and debated other economists in the 1930s and 40s. If anybody looks up Dr. James L. Boswell or Science College, you can find all kinds of historic stuff on the Science College website about his economic philosophy. Hey, Woodlife, what's up tonight? Since nobody was going live, I thought I'd just do a little live stream. And the thing is, smart companies, I'll give you an example. I have customers ask, why do you buy a Japanese tractor? Okay, the Kubotas I use, you know where those things were made? In Gainesville, Georgia. They are not made in Japan. They are made in the United States. They only got companies like John Deere. Where their riding mowers made? They're made in China. Yeah, the bigger John Deere tractors are made in the U.S., but not the small ones. Plus, John Deere doesn't have anything that would work here because they're all too wide. The John Deere tractors are 45. Hey, K9 man. Wonder what kind of dog you have. Because I love canines. And it concerns me that Holly's getting up there. She's about 10 years old right now. Look at it like this. 30 years ago, just cheap stuff was made in this country. You know, disposable razors. Where are they all made? They're all made in China right now. Those are cute Pomeranians. I think my sister and her husband, they had a little one about 20 years ago. It lived to be pretty old in dog year in people years. Yeah, Lindsey Graham and Senator Blumenthal went over to Ukraine, and I read online that they spent $400,000 of taxpayer money. Then then another thing, look at it like this: Trump's trying to negotiate peace. I think Trump's going to have to step away. We don't want to get, like I said, we don't want to get involved with another war. Yeah, but even though it's cheap labor, the quality, the American razors, because I'm 64 now, when cheap razors were made in this country, they actually lasted a long time. Everybody has their favorite breed. I'm more of a shepherd person. The reason I'm not into having a small dog is because of the wildlife here. Because we do have coyote out here. If I had a dog tied out here and it was getting dark and I was running the tractor, a coyote can make mincemeat of a small dog in no time. I saw, because I watched, I couldn't find any news about it, but Paul Begley tonight on one of his lives earlier in the day, he said Iran is flying planes in and out of Cuba with stuff on the board. They talk about a scare event. It wouldn't surprise me if we saw another Cuban missile crisis in this country. How do we know Iran isn't taking some of their missiles? And from all the reports I've read, it sounds like they have enough enriched uranium to make 10 warheads. How do we know Iran isn't taking these missiles and flying them to Cuba? Because they would be much closer to us than coming here from Iran. And you figure history repeats itself. We've all learned that much. I don't know if any of you guys, anybody watching is interested. The past, like a few months ago when the stock market went down because of the tariff scare, a lot of people sold their tech stocks. And I told people not to sell NVIDIA. NVIDIA is back up where it was. It's not up to its all-time high. The tech stocks are coming back. Supermicro Computer's coming back. Micron is coming back. All the tech stocks are coming back. Let's see, superior widgets require superior labor. And the thing is, okay, Trump has secured, I hope they don't back out because of what these judges are doing with the tariffs. Trump has secured $10.5 trillion of new investment in the U.S. infrastructure. Just think, I know some people that are against it. They don't want factories in their state. Well, what if you have a state where people need jobs? A state that has a lot of people, having a factory there is the best thing for it. I don't know about that, Joe Carroll Dodds, about if we made a deal with Cuba or not. And the thing is, we can't trust these other countries. We can't trust Europe at all. We can't trust Canada. We can't trust China. Even if we made a deal with Cuba, it really doesn't matter. Then the thing is, okay, everybody knows Ukraine took out those Russian bombers. Well, that had to do with the treaty we had. The bombers have to be in plain sight. And that was like a kick in the teeth to Putin. And I've been reading Trump is going by military intelligence, not the regular intelligence department. But I do think things are going to heat up this summer, though. The way things are going in the world, it seems like everybody's on the warpath. And one thing that annoys me, you see on CNN, you see MSNBC, you see at the White House press conference, when the president of South Africa was over there, he said there's no genocide going on in South Africa. I started reading about that in early 2021. It's not just South Africa, it's going on in other countries where they're taking ground away from the farmers and they're basically killing the white people. You know what's going to happen in South Africa? Those people over there aren't going to have enough food, and they don't have the resources to purchase the food from other places in the world. And food, actually, grain crops have gone down in price. And the reason I know that is one company I have an investment in, BHP, they sell commodities, corn, wheat, soybeans. That stuff has all gone down in price. And the reason I didn't put any title on here is because I figure I'm just going to ad-lib it and talk about a lot of other stuff. And then the thing going on with these earthquakes, there were several earthquakes today in Idaho. I heard this on 12:10 a.m. Then I saw bits of videos talking about it. You figure all these super volcanoes are connected to Yellowstone. It looks like in the west part of this country. God forbid one of them blows up, but you know what? It's bound to happen. Figure none of us have hindsight about what we should have done beforehand, but it is just getting out of hand. The Democrats, they're sticking up for the man, the terror attack in Colorado. Listening to Paul Heyman on a little bit of Fox Business today, or was it Fox News? He's concerned there's going to be a major terror attack in this country. So everybody's got to be stocked up on food. Then like China, China has control of our power grid thanks to Joe Biden. Who knows what's going to happen? Um, they said last night that with these solar storms, we would see the aurora borealis all over the U.S. Well, I couldn't see it because it was cloudy here, and it's not just because of the fires from Canada. They say there's a lot of ozone in the air in this area. And what really kills me is we've actually had a really cool May. With all this talk of global warming, we've had a cool May, and since May 9th, we've had 6.5 to 7 inches of rain here. And it's actually a good thing. I agree, the enemy's already here, Joe Carroll Dodds. That's why everybody's got to be stocked up on ammunition. Hey, how you doing, Beach Charming? But the thing is, these transformers have chips in them. The transformers on the power grid, most of these are all made in China now. Hey, what's up, Craig? Good to see you. What concerns me is that we could be hit by some more solar storms. These solar storms has affected the Earth in a lot of ways, not just the radiation. The days we've had a lot of wind, it's because of the solar storms. This has been a very, very windy spring because I have to do some spraying of trees with a fungicide called trichlorothionol for rhabdocline needlecast. And it was difficult to do any spraying for a few weeks because it's just been windy every day. Today it wasn't windy. I'll tell you, we are getting a lot more radiation. I can tell because I've got a little bit of sunburn. Let's see if you can see it on my right arm. And just to be on the safe side, even though people say it can cause cancer, I've been putting sunscreen on. For some reason, my left arm is more prone to sunburn than the right arm. Oh, Craig, I saw your video about that fox. I can't believe somebody would have done that to a fox. I'm glad the fox survives and is okay. And then with all these earthquakes, who knows what's going to happen? I think everybody's heard of Edgar Cayce. He predicted a lot of stuff. He predicted that the United States could be split in two with the Madrid fault earthquake. Back when that happened in 1811, I've read that the Mississippi River ran uphill. Water was backing up from the Atlantic Ocean. Yeah, I can't wear a long sleeve shirt, be charming, not in this weather. Hey, Larry Schulte, it actually got to about 82 here today. I drink 3 cups of coffee a day. I'm drinking my water now. And the reason I use a straw is because I have one tooth that's a little sensitive. And I forget how you zoom in. Well, you know what? I'm already zooming. If somebody else was on here, I could switch screens. Craig, you wrote Lawrence. Who's Lawrence? Yeah, I just had it with what's going on. Every time Judge Trump does something, a liberal judge blocks it. Like I said earlier, just watching stuff going on, I think with the Law of War Military Manual, 11/3 is going to occur on 11/3 because November 3rd, 2026 is 11/3. Because a lot of people here have watched the same shows I have, and they know what I'm talking about. For other people, I'm not going to really delve into it too much. I don't think I have enough subscribers to get a strike from YouTube. So, yeah, but when it gets warm, Beach Charming, I would just sweat in a long sleeve shirt. Oh, Larry. Okay, Greg. Actually, when we had the roof done this year, well, it was last summer, all the guys had long sleeve shirts on. If I was wearing a long sleeve shirt, I would just be in a puddle. So, Craig, what have you been up to lately? How everything's going as harbor master? I got a question, Craig. Okay, what is the surname for Craig? Because the only nickname I know for Craig is Craigie. You're not going to catch me in a long sleeve shirt this time of the year. Now, it got warm. 82 is warm to me. But tell you, this is the first year in 4 years where we're not in a dry spell. The 6.5 inches of rain we had since May 9th, the little trees I planted are doing really well. Craigerton, Craigerton. I never heard of that one. 2022, 2023, 2024, I had to get the hoses out and start watering trees already. The trees look really good, even though they've sustained drought damage. Things have a good color, but like some of the trees just look a little stunted because the drought last year killed some of the roots on the trees. Yeah, I've heard people say Craigie, Craig crazy. Well, I just hope everybody stays safe this summer because I think with the warm weather, there's going to be a lot more incidents, unfortunately, of people acting up in this country. You're selling water hyacinth. I don't need any, Craig. Anything else anybody wants to talk about? Actually, you know what I need to get? A long sleeve. If they had a long sleeve shirt that kept me cool. Craig, where did you get these from? I think you're driving me, Craig. Yeah, I know, Larry, but like I said, it'd be too hot for. I would just bake one of those. The funny thing is, my head doesn't get sunburned. It's red, but it doesn't get sunburn like my arm does. It's just one spot because my wife's concerned about it. She said, "Put the sunscreen on." Okay, from the bio. Hi, Mike McHugh. Hey, Pappy Two Bears. It amazes me though, because a lot of the people, I'll tell you, you know what caused the stock market crash? These big hedge fund millionaires and billionaires sold a lot of stuff off. I hope they're in regret because of the 30-day rule. If they buy the stocks back they lost money on, they can't deduct that on their income taxes. And I've been watching, I'll tell you, there's one guy I really like. He's older than me, William P. Forand. He's got a nice investment channel. He's into buying cheap stocks that could go up in value. Um, a lot of these penny stocks are risky, and I've put some money in some, but none of them have really gone to fruition. I would like to be a billionaire too, Craig, but you know what? The more you make, the more we get penalized by the IRS for. It takes a long time to make money in the stock market. And actually, even though they're down in price right now, I think the best investments are to go is the oil stocks that are paying like a 6.7 to 7% dividend. And some of the military stocks aren't doing bad. Actually, Energy Transfer, Sunoco, and MPLX. MPLX I've read is going to raise their dividend because I did a video on this before. And the thing is, I don't want too much publicity. Having a retail business, if a customer thinks somebody has a fair amount of wealth, they can, sue you saying they got hurt at the tree farm and all that nonsense. Actually, Lockheed Martin, I was reading, is going to increase their dividend. And I really think you look at all this new technology being developed. I think a lot of this had to do with stuff that was recovered with, back in the days, the Roswell incident. Was there anything new going on with you, Craig? Because I've been low key on YouTube lately because I don't have, a whole lot of free time in the evenings. You know, it's like when I get done working outside, I'm kind of beat. And the trend with the weather I've noticed, like I said, is we'll get a few days where it's way above normal. Then we'll get a week where it's below normal. Actually, today's the first day the average temperature for my area should be 80 degrees. It's going to get warm up and it's going to get warmer the next 2 days. Then it's going to get a little bit on the cool side again. And I'm just waiting to see where the next big earthquake is in the United States. Because if that Cascadia subsection would have like an 8 to a 9, I think that's going to trigger the Madrid fault line. You work on a new reality show. Well, you're not really living with me, Craig. That's pretty funny, though. Yeah, I'm still trying to get work done every day, but have some free time. Oh, and you know what I've been seeing a lot the past 2 weeks, Craig? I almost had one on the tractor. Fawns. I saw a fawn last week that probably wasn't more than 10 or 12 pounds. Yeah, you're right about us always having a dry spell. And actually, I've looked at the Farmer's Almanac and the Old Farmer's Almanac, and they were all wrong for the month of May with the precipitation. And the thing is, it doesn't matter if we get 2 inches of rain or 6 inches of rain. If we get 2 weeks when it's hot in the summer without rain, the ground's going to get dry. Yeah, everything's different down there with the deer, Craig. I know that. Larry Schultz, I don't know who's coming on tonight. I've been following more financial shows just to see what people, are talking about, stock buys. And the thing is, no, hey, Steph Richard, nobody, unless you're like a millionaire or a billionaire, nobody can invest in every company. But all I can say is I didn't sell anything. I bought a lot of stocks the past 2 months. And you know what happened today? A lot of them went up in value. Like I said, Micron and Super Micron went up. One stock I'm disappointed with that hasn't come back, but it will, is Targa Resources. That stock went from $69 a few years ago to about $210. It's an oil stock. I don't know what Craig is shaking, Stiff Richard. And Apple's having their problems. I think Apple's slowly coming back. I'm happy to see Boeing is coming back too. I think the reason Boeing's coming back in price after all the lawsuits, hey Goblin, is because of the deal with Qatar buying airplanes. Now, I don't know why they started calling it Qatar. You know who did that? It was Obama. Just like, okay, the correct term is ISIS. Who started calling ISIS ISIL? Obama. I don't know why people have to change the pronunciation of words. But Quatar, Qatar, that was always pronounced Quatar back when Reagan was president. But because Obama changed the pronunciation, everybody's got to change it. I won't change it though. And I'll tell you one thing I won't do, and I'll tell you it's absolutely sickening. Um, I listen to KYW. It's in Philadelphia, 1060 News Radio, to just find out what the temperature was Sunday. And the first thing I hear is Happy Pride Month. I will not wish anyone a happy Pride Month. I think it's despicable. And then the local news channels, they're having all these specials about Pride Month. And you read the New Testament, well, I'll tell you, we need a completely new currency, Goblin. I've said this before over the years. Nixon had to take us off the gold standard because other countries we had deficits with wanted the currency exchange for gold. We need to get rid of the Federal Reserve. We need a gold-backed currency is what we need. And you figure Johnson in 1964 took us off silver. Trump is against everything. Look at it like this. We already have digital. When you write a check to someone or use your credit card, it's just numbers changing hands as long as you have the money. Yeah, I'd rather celebrate Veterans Month. You figure a lot of the liberals in this country don't respect the veterans. If it wasn't for the veterans, we'd be speaking German or Japanese. And I only speak one language, and that's, English. Craig, I'm proud too to be a Christian. But the thing is, there's people out there that claim to be Christians. Actions speak louder than words. Look at it like this. One of the teachings of Jesus was to be humble. I'll tell you, the more I look into it, there's a lot of parallels with the Buddhist teachings in Christianity about being humble. Remember that song, Craig, in the 80s? I think I'm turning Japanese. Well, if I spoke Japanese, everybody here would be speaking Japanese. I've actually met some Japanese American customers. They're really friendly. And some of these I've actually met some customers that are Taiwanese American. They are really intelligent people. I like it when somebody comes out to buy a tray and they're new to this country and they became American. The thing I've been finding out is a lot of them are very conservative, especially the people from India, because we get a few repeat Indian American customers. Yeah, I know, Joe Carol Dodds. They're trying to tear us down. It's not going to work. Chinkanese. If I was wearing a happy tuber, hey Layla, Jay, if I was wearing a hat outside, I only wear a hat when it's cold because my head gets hot. And if I'm mowing between rows of Christmas trees, the trees would knock the hat off my head. Because I tried before and I gave up. Because then I got to stop the machine and get the hat on. Well, I'm sure I'm glad there hasn't been any more mishaps with planes. Has anyone noticed all these were taking place in a short of within a few months, and now there hasn't been any? Unfortunately, I look at it like this. My thinking is somebody might try to do something bad, like what happened on 9/11 using airplanes. What if one of these nutcases, these bad countries, put a nuke in an airliner? And you figure with AI, they can launch an airliner right now and not even have a person in it. Everything could be automated. Because I had a customer, I think he moved a guy that was a commercial pilot, and he was saying basically with GPS and these satellites, these planes fly themselves. But I kind of have good foresight of a lot of stuff. I do think, yeah, Iran has a lot of drones, like the ones they used a few months ago in Israel, but they're not the really big drones. You figure the U.S. Navy, we have drones that are just a little smaller than the F-18s. What concerns me is there's been so many videos about how this AI is getting out of control. It's a good thing and it's a bad thing. I think AI can figure out cures for diseases, um, give us better ways to harness energy. But the thing is, if people have been saying it for years, everything we see in Hollywood movies like Terminator, it's hinting of the future. Just like the episode of the original Star Trek with Dr. Daystrom in it, the M5 computer took over the Enterprise and started attacking other starships. And they couldn't turn it off until the very end of the episode. You figure they got to figure a way that they can control AI. But the thing is, it seems like once once AI becomes self-aware, just like the Terminator movie, that's it. You figure, I've always thought, just like, even the reptiles created Cylons, but then how many people do we know could be walking around that are really reptiles wearing a mask? Look how the Cylons turn on their creators. Yeah, you're right, Craig, because it wouldn't be worth watching if they showed all that in the beginning of the episode. We figure all this stuff be charming that's going on with airplanes, is computers. From what I've read, you know, you can have an airplane flying without a pilot. Just like look at those self-driving taxis that they have over in parts of Africa. In the past couple of years, one of the self-driving taxis like got into an accident or ran into something, and the thing I don't like is if there's not a human there, there's no way to control it at all. We could have lizards, but none of us know because everybody has seen the videos showing certain people that look like you can see the back of the mask on their neck, and how people took pictures of a certain person and the earlobes don't match up. And Craig, I've seen a lot of interesting videos too. And I'll tell you, unless I know some of the channels, I've kind of shied away from commenting on videos. Well, the GDP is up. I think it's this quarter they said 3.8%, and they thought it was going to be 2.2%. It is creepy. That there's too many AI videos. I've said it before about how you'll see a video where an animal has barnacles on it. Even if an animal had barnacles on it, there's no way it's going to let a human clean the barnacles off if it's a polar bear or a lion. You're starting to wonder, Craig. Hey, what's up, Stingray? Well, actually, Kenny Orga. Actually, the manure guy was supposed to be here 2 weeks ago, and the rain messed him up. But AI isn't going to replace the manure guy. Plus, AI isn't going to replace horses that create manure. And some people don't know, I get a lot of free manure. Robert is the only guy I take any shit from. Because this guy, he's been doing it for 30 years. He has $2.5 million in investments in the stock market, actually, just from the profits from his business. And actually, he bought another farm in Quakertown and paid for the whole thing in cash, selling off some stocks. You know what he's doing? He's using he has a tenant, and the tenant pays rent, and the tenant's basically paying the whole mortgage off for him. I mean, he's paying Robert back in rent for what Robert paid because Robert didn't get a mortgage. He just got had Vanguard send him a check for 550 grand to buy the whole farm. Yeah, he is, and like I said, Robert, you can't judge people by the way they look or the way they talk. If you met Robert, you'd think he was a hick, and he's far from a hick. He took a triaxle truck and cut part of the back of it off, and technically, because of the registration, it's still a triaxle. So he can hold 22 cubic yards of horse manure. What's this? Okay, space age polymer, County Yorga. Yeah, he did make his money and shit. You know what? You know how he made enough money to buy the manure truck? He worked for the Acme grocery stores delivering milk, and he would take a refrigerated truck full of milk, and he would unload all the milk by hand when he was a young man. You know, Robert's gotten up there in years too, like I am. But he's a hard-working manure guy. Yeah, you figure years ago before, how you gonna like there's plastic. I got one that has records in the back. You probably can't see it. He would have those plastic things with milk containers in them, and have to take each of them out individually and stack them for the guy to move with a forklift. And that's when milk was in glass containers. And like not out here, but you figure people in the city, they used to have a milkman come to their house every day and drop off, a milk container. Okay, it's going to be it's going to be 11 soon. I think I'm going to end it. I just thought I'd do live stream since nobody's on tonight. Now, Kenny Yorga, have you been doing anything exciting? Well, I got a question for you since you know more about cars than me. I have a customer that's a friend. He's 72 years old. He's got a Nissan. I'm trying to think, is it a 300X or 300Z? He keeps the car in mint condition. Is that a good car? It might be a 340Z. Well, I'm sure you're taking care of your property, County Yorga. So that's a good car. Because this guy, he bought a Trio from me, and I make an exception and deliver it to his house. And this guy's really into investments. Yeah, my friend Richard, his Z, I think, is about 14 or 15 years old. It looks almost brand new because he keeps it in the garage. Well, I'm happy just, I'll tell you, I'm not into sports cars. You know why? I like being high up in my truck. Yeah, but Craig, if I got a sports car, our garage has no room in it at all. He doesn't drive. He doesn't drive a BMW. He has some kind of He has a pickup truck. His wife has some kind of car. I know that, the manure guy. And like I said, the manure guy is pretty cool mechanically, turning a triaxle truck, and so he could hold more manure in it. I don't know if we're going to have a Corvette summer. Like I said, I think we're going to have up and down weather. Now, County Yorga, you guys have had more rain there than we've had, and it's gotten hotter down there. Has the weather been cooler than normal or warmer than normal, Craig? See, that's what I'm saying. The one thing that concerns me, okay, 2 nights ago, it got down to the mid 40s. One thing that concerns me is with this cooler, the normal night weather, it's hard on vegetables. I like the cool weather, but I want my tomatoes, peppers, squash, zucchini, cucumbers to grow. It's taken a while for the vegetables to take off because I waited till last week to plant peppers and tomatoes because in 2023 we had the latest spring frost on record in my area. And see, if we're having global warming, why we have such a late spring frost? Now, what does swamp ass mean? I never heard of swamp ass before, Greg. You got 5 inches of rain, Steph Richard. It was last Friday. We had 1.7 inches of rain in about 3 hours, and real close to the house. You can't really see my house from here. I had some minor erosion because I tilled a whole block of trees both directions, but it wasn't too bad. And the thing that annoys me is like when we get some of these rains, it's just a flooding torrential downpour. Now, Steph Richard, what kind of wood would you use to build an ark? My thinking would be pressure treated wood. That's if you're going to use wood. Greg, I know what that's like. And Ken, your guy, I think it's going to get we haven't had one 90-degree day yet this year. We usually get our first 90-degree day, according to Cecily Tynan, on Channel 6 WPVI by May 24th. Like I said earlier, we had below average temperatures for May. Thank goodness. Yeah, I would use steel too, Greg. I tell you, I'm not a sea lover. I wouldn't even know how to. I mean, I could build a raft. That's about it. Well, I just hope the people I haven't seen in a while are all doing okay. Because I'm not the type of person that wishes bad things upon anyone. Why don't you trust aluminum? At least aluminum doesn't rust. Well, it's great to see you too, Craig, but I really can't see you since you're in chat. I'll tell you another thing. I predict that by the end of Trump's term, we're going to see record highs in the stock market. Now, where could you use a houseboat where you live, Steph Richard? Because I think you said you're in Oklahoma. Yeah, you're in Oklahoma. No, Steph Richard said he's in Oklahoma, Craig. I looked back in chat. But they, Australia, they're having their problems. They're concerned about China possibly invading them. And you know what I think? If China is bold enough to invade Taiwan, hi Regina. If China would be bold enough to invade Taiwan, I foresee them launching attack on the major cities of the U.S. West Coast, unfortunately. Well, I didn't even know. I have a niece that used to live in Oklahoma. I didn't know there were any lakes that big out there. Now, he's not from down under, Craig. And technically, Holly is half American dingo, being Port Carolina dog. I don't know who Johnny from Australia is either. I remember Mark B from Australia. I'm not sure what happened to him. Now, how does Regina know that Yorga's a sweetie? Now, Kenny Yorga descended from a long line of men with fangs. Now, Kenny Yorga is a nice guy, Regina. I know that. Trying to think of what else I wanted to tell people. I feel bad for those race dogs, Greg, because some of these dogs run and they just wear themselves out. Like some people like horse racing. It's okay. I've never been to a horse race either. Okay, Regina. I bet you're a sweetie too, Regina. Most of the women on YouTube in our age group are pretty sweet people. I don't think it's been that amazing, Craig. Now, some people that come to know me know I'm a really serious person. I know they're born runners. You know what else are born runners be charming? Deer. I tell you, there's a lot of money in horse racing. I know that. There's a guy that was in the Olympics from our area. The guy, I think his name was Mats. He had a horse farm on Collegeville Road next to the tree farm I used to be involved with and my sisters had. Taking care of horses is a lot of upkeep, though. Yeah, I'm still a lone wolf, Craig. My wife's a lone wolf, too. It's better to be a wolf among sheep than a sheep among wolf. Actually, besides seeing fawns, I saw a humongous doe out here, and I found a lot of deer antlers on the ground. I'm lucky I didn't get a flat tire. Some of the deer antlers, the points were pointed in the ground. Back, must have been almost 30 years ago. I wrecked a Kubota tire on my first Kubota, driving the Kubota in high grass in the drainage area. I had a freaking deer antler that dropped off a deer and it poked a hole in the back tire. If there's some people are just into the horses, and that's actually it's sad. I forget the name of the place. It's on YouTube. In Worcester, Pennsylvania, there was an animal rescue that had about 140, 150 goats, pigs, sheep, and they had electrical fire, and 40 of the animals passed away. Well, the thing, Craig, even if you came during the season, these deer have just become completely nocturnal. A few nights this past week, like I said, I saw a doe out here with a yearling and about two fawns. And the sad thing with deer hunting, I've been I've been doing this all my life, Regina. My grandfather started this as a hobby, and the state took his property for Evansburg State Park. My dad didn't like teaching college, and he started landscaping. He started growing trees. I'll tell you the story. My grandfather was an economics professor at Science College. You can find out about him on the internet. Dr. James L. Boswell or Science College, Collegeville. He started planting trees in the 1930s to stop soil erosion. He bought a 66-acre farm off of a Catholic priest that had to sell the farm because he didn't want to give it to the church because he inherited it from an aunt or an uncle that died. And he, I forgot what happened, but he had to sell the farm, being a priest. And my grandfather bought it and started growing trees. Then people started asking if they could buy Christmas trees as a hobby. And my dad, like I said, he was teaching calculus and physics at a very young age at Villanova, and he didn't like teaching kids. Um, so he grew some nursery stock on his parents' property and saved up enough money to buy other properties to grow trees. When my sister and I became partners, my sister worked for Sunoco, was making a lot of money in the 80s, and bought a property that I started growing trees on in 1984, and we were selling a heck of a lot of trees. You got to remember, you can plant, if you space the trees about 5.5 foot apart, you can grow about 12 to, and with roadways 12 to 1450 trees on an acre of ground, and it takes 8 to 10 years to grow these trees. And we got this property here in 1990, the fall of 90, I think it was the fall of 1994, and I started growing trees here. And my wife and I saved enough money to have a custom built house in 2002. County Yorga used to buy Christmas trees as a hobby until my parents put me in therapy. I'll tell you, there's a lot of. I was listening to Little Talk Radio today, and I forget who it was from CNN did a poll. Actually, the liberals are out of their mind. The liberals in this country, a lot of them have to see, a counselor, psychiatrist, psychologist. They're not very happy people. It's like this. I don't know anyone on YouTube that was a conservative that was just screaming on YouTube, oh, they couldn't take it, Joe Biden's president. These people have to buck up. The thing is, these liberals, they don't know what's good for them. Most of the liberals, it's like this. I started listening to Rush Limbaugh when he first came on the air. He replaced G. Gordon Liddy's show. G. Gordon Liddy, you guys remember him from the Nixon administration? Rush Limbaugh said, you cannot reason with a liberal, and he was absolutely right. If you talk to a liberal and you show them facts, they'll tell you that your facts are wrong. I have other family members that are all nieces and nephews that are just all liberals. I was talking to one of them a few years ago, and the first thing they do is they get on their cell phone, they got to go to fact check and Snoop. I'm telling them the stuff on there is all wrong. You can't go by fact check and Snopes. Yeah, I remember those two, County Yorga, because the other night it was a one-on-one show, and I was saying, take good care of your teeth. They belong to you. They used to have a commercial about that on the ABC After School Special. Remember how they used to teach us how a bill became a law? You figure the deep state took Nixon down. He panicked, Craig. Ehrlich and Haldeman, okay, set him up. And Nixon knew if he just spoke the truth, Nixon shouldn't have tried to have done the cover up. Nixon should have just ignored it until the facts hit the light. Nixon trying to cover up everything is what caused him to almost be impeached. A lot of people say Nixon was never impeached. He resigned. He didn't want to be prosecuted, and I don't blame him. But then I look at it like this: Nixon wasn't as conservative as I thought. Because Nixon started the EPA, and look what the EPA has done to us. So we're on the same age group Regina has. And actually, sometimes when I've been on Bushcraft's family show, because he knows more about this YouTube stuff than I do. If you go to the videos, it'll show you like the average age group of people watching. You hunker for a hunk of cheese. I'll tell you, cheese isn't as good as it used to be. A few months ago, my wife got me some really good cheese in the village of Skippack. And I mean, you're talking really good cheese. It wasn't even the processed stuff. And the thing is, even with Trump releasing the JFK files, nothing, there was nothing real exciting there. Because you know why? People, you got to remember, Dulles was the head of the CEI. Dulles Airport is named after. Some people say Dulles was behind it. And the doctors that did the autopsy said there were two shooters. The Senate's opinion of that was completely different. And a lot of the records of that stuff have long been lost. You figure the deep state's not going to keep the records that, but you know, that would implicate them. Actually, my wife makes good cheese dip too, Regina. Cream cheese with smoked salmon. That's delicious. And for everybody that doesn't like Miracle Whip, I got some news for you. Miracle Whip is better for you than mayonnaise, allegedly. You know why? There's more soybean oil and mayonnaise than there is in Miracle Whip. And soy products are not good for men. It lowers their testosterone. And I've told other people that, okay, we don't use any plant-based cooking oils. The only oil we use besides motor oil is olive oil. My wife, she went to ShopRite when they have it on sale. That's the best place to get it. You know, I forgot what brand of olive oil was 27 bucks a bottle. She got it on sale for $9. Yeah, but do some research, Kenny Organ. Soybean oil is not good. There's more soybean oil in most brands of mayonnaise. I guess you're going to bed early. Well, hey, it's 11 o'clock now. I think I've overstayed my welcome on YouTube. I'd like to thank everybody for watching tonight. Because pretty soon here I'm gonna have to get a shower. I gotta get up early tomorrow and get some more mowing done here at the tree farm. And I appreciate everyone that likes, you know, puts a like in the show. Yeah, actually, Larry, that's all, you know, it's all because of Kissinger. It's like the deep state has opened the door to so many things, it's pathetic. Okay, hey, thanks for showing up, Craig and Kenny Orga, Stiff Richard, Larry, Regina, Carol J. Dodds, B. Charming. Hope I didn't miss anyone. I've already thought, and Lele J, I've already thought of doing a video like really late at night so nobody watches it live, so they watch it later. Okay, thanks everybody for watching it. Everybody stay safe and have a good night. Goodbye.